that's when you get yourself into trouble and you start not seeing it for what it is. You see it for what you want it to be. So
I just posted the last, you don't have to read Chris Dixon's book, but you should. And I was just posted the last sentence of the book. First of all, great book, honestly. Have your kids read it to you, JC, or put it on Audible. But the last
I read it already. I read it before you. I'm the one who told you to read it, remember?
Okay, whatever. So I thought there'd be more pictures, but I said, what seems late is actually early. This is a fucking great line. Like, again, like, this is what makes people like Chris Dixon great. You can read the whole book, or you can go to the last line and go, he just gave you all the signal you need.
And
right?
that is a typical left curve, right curve answer, right? It's because what he's saying is, look, numbers going to keep going up. The adoption's going to keep going up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to know anything else. That's why it's so easy to get involved in this.
Hold on, Raoul, can I?
Well, because the log chart over time keeps going up, right? The wealth keeps building. It goes from $1 billion to $10 billion to $100 billion to $1 trillion, right? It just keeps building. But your point is really crucial, is very little leaks back into the economy.
Right. And less, I think, if I were listening to Fred Wilson, it's like, once you have a certain amount in the digital world like me, I get scared. And I brought some back, some Solana back. I got scared. I sold some multi-coin. I'm a Canadian. Like, wasn't real to me because I wasn't using it. This time around, I'm playing with the stuff and the StockTwits audience and meme coins and building on Solana. Why bring that money back this time?
So if I'm right that this is the fastest, largest accumulation of wealth in all human history, right? If it goes to 100 trillion, to JC's point, this is the S&P is worth $50 trillion, or the US stock market, entire US stock. That's 100 years of accumulated value.
It's mostly S&P.
Who owns it? You can give permission to rehypothecate them, or you cannot, right? So it's a game changer for that. But even in terms of trading, it gives you a whole new set of stuff you didn't have before. Like funding rates are just brilliant, because you can see in real time what you'd have to get from a prime broker at Goldman, how funding rates for a particular stock are trading. But here you can see it in real time. You can see when it's liquidated, it's buyable, and how long does that wedge take to complete? Does it complete this week? Does it complete in 2 weeks' time? Doesn't really matter.
So you think soon, though? You think soon?
No, he's just saying when it does, it doesn't matter. And he's saying
soon,
not to time
and he
it.
thinks it happens soon. I don't know, because if you show the gold,
no one knows that
chart,
but let's be
when
honest.
gold came back, it took longer. I'm
Okay,
curious. Listen, none of us know.
Right. Let's just be honest. This is where we all will sound dumb. I think what Raoul's saying is when it happens, it's going to happen. But
let me show you a chart. I'm going to share a chart just because it's the best chart in the world to understand this.
Right. Bitcoin to me and crypto has just been a hedge against my own, just like I did with Web 2. It was at least Web 2 I was participating in. It was so obvious to me with YouTube. This is much harder because you have to have a wallet. You actually have to.
The ISM has gone above 50. It's the business cycle. So technology and crypto are driven by liquidity cycles, real assets, value stocks, commodities. They're all just the business cycle. And the business cycle's going up now. So these things have been playing catch up. They were dogs. Now, as the economy starts re-strengthening, these will do well. And so everyone got left behind because they didn't do anything last year. And now they should do really well. And they should do really well in macro summer, macro fall. So they should just keep doing well over time. They'll have periods where they'll outperform what tech did, because tech, went off to the races to start with. So I think it's very consistent. And bond yields are just a function of that too. If the economy's strengthening, then bond yields tend to rise somewhat. But the Fed can't let them more than a meme. Everything is memes. That's how humans communicate with each other. All value is memes. Gold is a meme. Everything is a meme. Okay, so that's fine. But let me give you a number that I think people need to understand. Americans spent $110 billion on lottery tickets last year. There's a 1 in 300 million probability of getting the payout. Of a smaller payout of, let's say, $1 million, it's probably 1 in 20 million. But if you go to the meme coin casino in a trending market, your probability is probably 20x better. So if you are a 25-year-old, you have no chance of buying a house, the S&P is too goddamn expensive for you to buy it, you can't. Here's your opportunity. You can make 100x, 1,000x, 10,000x. We've seen them all in the last 2 months. And so, of course, it's going to attract people, and it's rational behavioral machine, which is a much larger network. So what you've got here is a whole different operating system. Like I use Apple, other people use Android, fine. Or PCs versus Macs. But what it also happens to be is very fast and cheap. So it means it's very useful for this kind of stuff, like meme coins or things that require velocity. Could that be tickets in the future to train tickets, an event ticket? Could it be anything? Yes. So I just think of it as a very efficient technology that's about to get more efficient with the Fire Dancer upgrade. It'll be stupid fast. Great. But it doesn't mean it replaces one or the other. It's just earlier in its adoption curve, so it's going up a lot as it's finding its place within this new global infrastructure of blockchain technology. And it's proving itself to be now a very important player. So I just sleep at night knowing that if there's going to be a retail chain, it's probably Solana because of its attributes.
Because it is right now as well. It is right now. So you're betting on the one that's working right now.
That's right.
Yeah. And Base is cool.
Can that change in the future? Maybe.
Base is cool. Coinbase has just been such an innovative.
Amazing company.
Amazing. When you compare it to Robinhood, again, I love Robinhood as an early investor, blah, blah, blah. But how can you compare it to Coinbase? The guy's like a legend.
Yeah. No, and the quality of people there is extraordinary.
Phil?
Is that your favorite idea right now? Right here, right now? Just
my
Solana.
favorite idea.
Like I'm a dimwit, right? What would you tell me to do?
Solana.
Go buy and hold in Solana.
Yeah. So Solana currently is, call it $200. It's just a bit below that. You know, the probability if it just follows previous bull cycles, even if it's a really stunted cycle, it goes to 5.
Area assets are going to do well. So we want exposure. Gold just broke out of a 14-year base to new all-time highs. This Bitcoin stuff and the crypto stuff might have something to do with this. Raoul made a lot of great points. That might be the case or it might not be the case. What I'm saying is that it doesn't matter. Real assets with real market capitalization, with real institutional value, I think investors have little exposure there. I'm talking about real institutional investors have no exposure. There are no ETFs.
What's the single best one? If you had to distill it down to one commodity trade, which one is it?
Yeah, I like an oil gold combination, really. You know, an energy gold. I fight. It's a great question, Raoul. And I ask myself and all my colleagues that exact same question. It's difficult because I want to be in metals. I want to be in energy. There's probably some agricultural areas, but it's more of a mixed bag over there. You saw what Coco